Today we're going to talk about how to deal with behavior in classrooms. In order to do so, it's first of all important to understand what discipline is. The meaning of discipline is how to deal with things in the classroom. So according to Matthew Daki, 2001, says that discipline is a pattern of behavior which is consistent of the rules set by a superior person or institution. In the educational context, discipline is the result of careful design treatment of classroom disruptions. There are many ways in which a teacher can improve the behavior of students inside a classroom. It also depends on the student's age and the socio-cultural environment surrounding them, right? So in order to do so, we need first to understand that discipline problems in the classrooms decrease the time available for teachers to do what they are or they are supposed to implement or teach to the students. An effective way to deal with discipline problems is to teach a student how to control their own behavior. But as it was mentioned before, it depends also on the student's age and the influences they have, not only around the environment but also in their families. One way to improve a student's behavior, actually it is focused on achieving different goals, each one independently, not in groups. To motivate the students could be one thing. Motivates focusing on their own cognitive process. Second of all, to find strategies in order to students feel busy inside a classroom. A third option could be to assigning tasks to its students or the students with more problems. So the first one, as it was mentioned before, is focus on effective cognitive process of each one. It's to improve or make students to focus on what they are doing the best or what they are doing better inside the classroom, so they can achieve personal goals and so on. It motivates and it helps the students to be focused on something during the classroom while the teacher is explaining, and it's also revising or focuses on some other students, because we know if we talk about Colombian context, we might take into account that most schools have 40 or 45 students per each classroom. Second is to identify the students or the student that influences the rest of the class to behave or to misbehave. In order to do so, while the teacher identifies the student that influences the rest, it has to give that student specific tasks in class to keep the students focused on something, so he forgets about to bothering the rest of the class, right? And the third one some strategies that the teacher could use in order to avoid misbehavior inside a classroom could be to motivate the students to do, of course depending on the age, to identify what the students like to do the most inside a classroom and what they enjoy doing inside a classroom. So dealing with problems inside the classroom, it's a little bit hard, but because the teacher not only has to focus on how the students behave, but also promote educational an educational context, like teaching, providing students with the information and so on. So it's sometimes become a little bit complicated for teachers to do so, but it's not impossible if the teachers knows how to handle with those problems. And if the teachers start to identify those three aspects I mentioned before, cognitive, identifying the students that it bothers the rest, and then fomenting some strategies, I'm pretty sure that the teacher can handle a better educational context.